Welcome back, everybody, and if you're new here, welcome. We're going to be working on a craft today. We're going to be doing a card, and we're going to work on decorating the outside of an envelope. So if you think that you're not crafty, if you just want to do something that's a little different that you've never done and you think that you're not creative, we're going to make this really simple for you. Not too many tools. You can substitute what I'm doing for something else if you like. But we're going to be using stencils down there. You see the purse and the shoe, and we have a pink envelope. We have a white, it's just a pre-made card, a pre-made card that you can get in packs, like 25 or 50, at your local craft store. So we're just using one of those. It's white. We're using black micro beads, glue, perfect medium, which is just a sticky substance used for our embossing powders that are over there in the blue and the green. So without further ado, let's get started on our craft and envelope decorating. These are the Pearl-Ex powdered pigments, and this is series 2. This is what I'm going to be using to color with one of the, it actually turns into being a stamp instead of the stencil that I'm using, but you'll see that a little bit later in the video. But yeah, it has a variety of colors. As you can see here, there are different packets that you can get. So if you've ever wanted to try some Pearl-Ex powdered pigments, then keep watching and hopefully it'll help you make a decision on that. Now these are the powdered pigments. You can see they're very fine. These are the green and the blue that I'm using here, and I just wanted you to show, I just put them on a little piece of paper towel just to show you what they look like. And on the left where you see that kind of aqua blue, that's the green and the blue mixed together that I wanted to show you. So they mix really well, and you can see the shine that they have on them. They're quite shiny, and sometimes you have to tilt them to see the shine, but they're very pretty. We're going to start off with our pink envelope, and all we're going to need is our stencil, our envelope, one of the flower add-ons, the micro beads, the black micro beads, and a little bit of glue. So not too much with this. We're just going to go ahead. We're going to be carefree with it. We're not going to worry too much about it, and we're not going to try to be perfect. So this is just a simple card that will look cute when you get done, and you're going to be surprised at yourself if you think you're not crafty. So here we go. First, in this easy process, we're just going to take our stencil, and you can take any kind of stencil that you want. You can even make your own stencils. I just chose this shoe. It's foam, so it's bendable, and the glue may go under it. I'm hoping it doesn't, but it may go underneath the shoe, but hopefully that won't happen. So we're just going to take our foam stencil, and we're going to take our card, and I put it on the white paper because these white micro beads go everywhere, or these black micro beads go everywhere. So I put it on the white paper so you can see exactly how many there are, and hopefully I won't spill too many. And then that also makes it easier for me to fold the paper up and then put the micro beads back into the container. So we're just going to figure out where we want to put our shoe on our card, because it could be in the middle of the card or, anywhere. And you can always cut your stencils. I never cut mine really, just because I like to have them neat and fit a particular way. So I just keep them the size that they are when I buy them. So we're going to go ahead, and I want mine down here in the bottom corner. I'm going to try to get it as straight as I can. Line it up with the side here and try not to go across the bottom. So we're just going to push that down a little bit, and then we're going to take our glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit of the glue inside of the shoe. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, there we go. Oh, darn, I'm not really good at this right now. Should have had a different strategy. What you can also do is take a paintbrush, a little tiny paintbrush. And I'm going to use the back of the paintbrush I'm using for the powder. And I'm just going to put that inside. And you want to, when you're doing the micro beads, you want to make sure that the whole inside is filled up with the glue. Otherwise, it is not going to work. And I should have got a different paintbrush. Well, that's what happens when you don't always plan everything, right? I should be planning better. All right, we're just going to see how this goes. All right, so do better than I did. Plan better than I did, but let's go ahead and get our micro beads going. So, oh, there's a bubble. Okay, so do better than I did. And we're going to take our micro beads, and I'm going to attempt to not let them go underneath the stencil. So I'm going to take our micro beads, and this is the container of micro beads. It has, the top of it has where you can pour them in little tiny drops or in a big old monster chunk. I'm going to use the monster chunk of beads, and for more control. And then we're just going to pour them in. And you see how they're going everywhere. They're so tiny. And just fill up the inside. It's only going to go where the glue is, so you don't really have to worry about that as much. So make sure that they get into all of the glue. Push them down. All of them will not stick. So I'm just pushing them down, make sure they stick into the glue before I remove the stencil. And we'll see what happens. Did I do a good job or not? Well, let's move these. Slough off some of these beads first. And then I'm going to remove my stencil. Yeah, it's alright. Okay. Alright, so what we can do, see there's still a lot of beads here. What we can do is take a piece of paper towel, because I've gotten a lot of glue on here. And that's what you want to avoid, but, you know. If you take a little more time, I'm just doing a quick craft, but if you take a little more time, all you have to do before the glue dries, go around it, remove everything you don't want. Remove everything that you do not want to stick. And I'm doing this as carefully as I can without disturbing the rest of the stencil. Everything you don't want to stick, just take it off. Well, these beads are more challenging than I thought they were going to be this morning. And you just keep going until you get the look that you want. And oddly, I actually kind of like those little stripes there. But I'm going to take them off, because they're not going to fit my overall design. Alright. So we got most of our micro beads off. Oops. I keep taking this out of view. Okay, so we got most of our micro beads off. And there's a little bit of glue that's still on there. But what you can do, which I also did not bring, is you can get a little piece of a moist paper towel, and you can just try to get this off carefully without removing the color from the envelope. And you don't have to be perfect or anything. And another thing that you can do is cover it up. So let's see what I have to cover up mistakes. That's one of the things that you can do, is you can cover things up if it's not exactly like you want. So we're going to remove, and you can wash this little foam thing to get the glue off. So you can wash that. We're going to remove these microbeads, put them back into the container. Just fold your piece of paper. Put them back in there. And that's why I use this piece of paper to get the microbeads back in. All right, so we're going to cover up this little spot here. And what are we going to cover up this with? Is our flower. So we're going to take a little bit of glue. In crafts, you can always cover stuff up. Make it look like it was supposed to be there, because that's what we do best. Create, we cover up, make it look like it was supposed to be there. All right, so we got our glue on there a little bit, and we're going to take our little flower. It's just a fabric flower with little fake pearls on it, and we're just going to put it on top of our shoe like that. And we're going to cover up that mark that we did not want to be there. And until this glue is completely dry, you can add more beads, you can shape it, you can do what you want to do with it until the shoe actually dries. But it's actually not that bad, right? And there is your envelope with your black microbead shoe and your flower. And that was easy, right? Pretty easy. Pretty easy. You know, you can make it easier than me by planning and getting a paintbrush and putting the glue in with that, and then that'll be easier for you. But definitely try to keep something, if you're working with microbeads, keep something underneath it so that you can catch the microbeads and put them back into the container easier. So that's just a little tip. This is the stamp I was telling you about before, earlier at the beginning of the video. Now I decided to switch out the purse stencil for this stamp, for this rubber stamp, because I was not going to get the right coverage I needed for the purse stencil. So I decided to go with the stamp, and I'm using my stamp pad in order to get the sticky glue part onto the stamp. Then I'm going to put that onto my card, and then I'm going to use the powdered pigments with that instead. So it's a similar process, but I just thought it was going to be easier for this particular video. So what I'm going to start out doing is tapping the stamp, pushing down, making sure that I'm getting the glue, quote unquote glue, into or onto each part of the stamp. And when I show it to you, you can see it's glossier than the rest of the rubber stamp. So I'm just tapping and tapping, just trying to make sure that I get all the glue on there. And then I'm going to turn my stamp, because it has a picture on the outside of the stamp if you've never used them before. So I'm going to figure out how I want my stamp to look, which flower where, and all of that. And then I'm going to place it over my card. And then you want to make sure that you press straight down. You don't want to be moving it around. Once you touch that paper, the glue is on the paper. So if you don't want the powders to be sticking to anything other than exactly where the stamp is that you want, then do not pick your stamp up, move it around, twist it once you've already touched the paper, because it will be a huge problem. You will have messed up your card. Okay. So you can see where the glue is on there, and you want to work quickly. You do not want to let this glue dry, because if it dries, the pigment will not stick. So that's where the glue is, and I'm taking a little bit more time than I normally would with this, because I'm doing the example for you. But I would be very quick normally. When I'm doing this, I would not wait this long to put the powdered pigment on. So I just used my paintbrush. I dipped it into the pigment, And I'm not, yeah, into the pigment, into the green pigment first. And then I'm just tamping it or tapping it all around the glue. Everywhere that I want the green to be, I am touching it to that glue part so that the pigment will stick. Now, all of the pigment is not going to stick, so don't expect it, everything that you see, to stick on there, and you'll see that in just a minute. So I'm tapping some of it off, and it's going to look messy, but I promise you it will look better. It will not stain like that streak that's going down the paper. It's not going to stain like that. So I am now tapping into the blue powdered pigment, and I'm putting that on the flowers. And you can use different colors on each flower. I'm just choosing to use two colors just because it's faster today. And I'm just trying to give you an example of what this looks like. So I'm doing the same thing that I did with the green, only I'm doing it on the flowers, and the glue is still wet, so most of it will stick. And I'm just tapping off the blue powdered pigment, and you see how messy that looks, but no worries, we're about to take care of this in just a second. And I saw a place where I wanted to add a little bit more blue, so I just put a little bit more on there. All right, so now I'm just brushing off any excess that I don't want, and I'm doing this very lightly. On the card where the stamp is not, I'm being a little bit rougher with that, and I'm trying to get it off a little bit harder than that. But when you go over your actual image, you don't want to go over it so hard that you actually pull the pigment off. So you want to be careful about that. You see that I was able to get the pigment off of the paper, and I did not mess up my design. And you can see it doesn't look as shiny when you're looking directly at it, but once I tip it, you can see how beautiful that is, how pretty and shiny those pigments are. And that's what you can expect when you use these powdered pigments. They are quite brilliant. They are very shiny, and they're just going to add a little bit of beauty to whatever it is that you're using it with. So here are your final projects. You have your pink envelope with a black microbead shoe and flower, and then you have your card with a stamp that is using the powdered pigments. So either one of these would be a wonderful gift to give to a friend or family member. You can do these projects with your children. They would, I mean, the microbeads going everywhere. What child would not love to do that? You might not like it, but they would love it. So if they can make this project or one of these projects and give it to their friend, that would just be such a fun thing to do, such a neat thing to do, and show them that they're thinking about their friend. So have a creative day. Come back for more art projects. Please subscribe if you haven't and pass my channel along. And I hope to see you guys next time.